lot of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, it is a Monday show. Initially, we were not going to be live this week until Tuesday, but there is a ton of wind out there, Matthew.
So no striper fishing
No.
for you, and you were going to go with both Mark and AJ today.
This is true.
What you can keep two over how long?
I think
like
24.
24
Yeah.
or one or two over.
I think 2.
And then you can keep what, like 8 unders?
I don't know.
But you've
I let
actually
the guide take care of that.
You've been grilling the striper.
Oh, yeah, from our last trip with the pellet grill.
It's just odd how much you love. So like people do perch, walleye, bluegill, whatever. You are a big striper fan.
I like it. I like it a lot. I don't know why.
I mean, is that something recent, or have you
No,
always been?
no. I've always been very fond of the bass with stripes on it.
Have they gotten on the topwater deal yet? Out
Yeah,
there?
they're on it. In fact, he told me I was actually going to bring one of those spooks that got sent to me, one of the big spooks.
Yeah.
Not the Zell Roland spook, but the larger one.
Yeah.
The vintage signature series. And I was actually going to try and catch some on topwater, but not with a 30-mile-an-hour wind from the south. Not
So it's
happening.
like to where me and you could go out in the same boat and get on those schools like we did before.
Yeah.
Well, we need to do that then.
Absolutely, 100%.
Remember I filleted that last group on the back deck of the boat when we went?
And you did it quite quickly and effective, too.
I do. When it comes to the catch, cook, and eat, I've got
it
that
was amazing.
Down.
Yeah, it was quite the performance. So, since that got canceled, we're going to do shows on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Got a great week this week. Today, we're going to talk to Jason Reyes, who's been doing this thing for a long time, Matthew. Had a great finish at the Chick, finished in 3rd place, and we'll get him on here just in a few minutes. Then tomorrow, we're going to have the winner. Jacob Wheeler is going to be on. I was trying to think.
We had him on after he won the
Yeah, I was
Toyota
trying to
series.
think the last time.
like a month ago. Like, remember?
He keeps winning, man. Keeps
Yeah,
winning.
okay, so we'll keep having him on.
All right, and then on Wednesday, a special show. The show's not going to take place until 1 p.m. Eastern Time, high noon Central Time, because that morning I have to go in. I'm getting an ultrasound done. No, I'm not pregnant, all right, but I have this ultrasound that they have to do every year on my heart.
They put the jelly on your chest?
Yeah.
How does that feel weird?
Yeah, it feels kind of, yeah.
I've never been covered in like that jelly substance
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
where I had an option not to be.
Yeah, so a special show on Wednesday, different time, 12 noon Central Time, 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have Ken Duke on, and really for 2 reasons. One, he's going to let us know what's going to be taking place on the virtual ICAST. I don't know how much you've looked into this.
A bunch.
Matt.
I think a bunch of guys have been like kind of filming and getting stuff together,
Yeah.
and I'm really interested in it. It's going to be available to the public too, correct?
I believe so, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to get Kenny on to talk about how the virtual ICAST is going to work and pass that on to the fans from a guy that probably knows more than anybody else.
He's running a lot of it. I'm already seeing some stuff for it, and I know some of the products, some of the people that work for companies in the industry are getting the new products together, figuring out where and how they want to film it, how they want to introduce this. So I don't know the details of how it's going to go down, so that's perfect.
Yeah, we're going to get him on Wednesday.
Duke.
The other thing he's going to do, and I've always considered, and a lot of other people have too, Ken being the bass historian.
That's why I thought you were having him on originally. I forgot about virtual ICAST.
Okay. We are going to get the numbers from him. He committed, unlike you, he committed to doing a comparison between Jacob Wheeler and KVD the first 6 years. Now, I was doing a little research on this over the weekend, and I saw a very, very good comment from somebody on one of the comment boards. And they said, look, Wheeler has had a tremendous career, but does he have an Angler of the Year?
Mm-mm.
Has he won a Bassmaster Classic?
No.
Has he won the FLW Angler of the Year?
No.
Okay, and has he won an FLW Cup? Yes. So he's got one box checked. But when you're looking at it overall, the comparison just isn't there. When you look at it the first 6 years, I think the comparison is going to be overwhelming. So we will see.
You think?
We will see.
I mean,
we will see. You didn't do your homework, so I had to get Kenny to do it. What are you looking at? Are you doing it right now?
Well, I was looking at it. I mean, obviously he's got the All-American win, so you have to throw that in the mix too as a championship win and a second in the Forrest Wood Cup. But he has zero FLW Tour regular season wins outside of this Chickamauga Super Tournament this past week, which is where he spent the majority of his time. Now he has one over on the Elite Series, but you have to remember he's been on the FLW Tour since 2012. Now he never finished outside of 30 in the Angler of the Year rankings, but from 2012 to 2016 on the pro circuit, 2 top 10s.
Huh.
Is that surprising to you?
A little bit.
Very surprising to me.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think it's because he shows up in the cups, which is why he was on so many people's radar. Obviously, we've talked to him about that. He's never finished in the 6 cups he's fished. He's never finished below 12th, 7th, 4th, 10th, 2nd, 1st, 12th.
That's stout.
So I mean, you want to be relevant, show up, and you don't even have to win the big ones, but be relevant in the big ones.
Yeah.
So, but
we'll see what Ken comes up with.
I will be very interested in seeing that. Did you also see what Bassmaster came out with?
Maybe. What?
The best bass lakes of the decade?
Oh, I did not see that.
You did not?
What was number one?
Well, we'll have a little guessing game with Mark here. As Bassmaster has done, I'm going to give them. I have not seen this. It will require 53 page views to see the top 10. As they've put it in the handy dandy photo gallery.
That's all right. That's how they roll. It's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
Valve Stems of the Elite Series days. There's 180 photos from takeoff.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Number one, you want to take a guess? Best bass lakes of the decade.
Gunnersville.
No. Number one, Clear Lake.
Well, I was going to try and guess it again. Sorry, dude. Give me
Well, I don't know what the rest are because you have to click 6. Okay, so look, I'm already on the third slide just to get to the first one.
Yeah.
So one is Clear Lake. Then I have to click through two kayakers on Clear Lake. Then I have to click through a bridge picture on Clear Lake to get to the 6th slide.
I gotcha. Well, they're being...
So one is Clear Lake. Number 2.
Gunnersville.
Gunnersville, correct. Number 3. This is a surpriser. A very... a part of the country that's very important to bass fishing right now, depending on what's going on.
Champlain.
Close, Lake Erie. New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan. They just covered all of Lake Erie.
That's a big geographical area there.
Number 4. Think of the past decade.
Past decade.
Where some crazy tournaments gone down. Just insane weights. Where you're like...
Chick?
No.
The Chick?
St. Clair.
Okay.
That's
Man,
so far.
They're liking some smallmouth, aren't they?
So far, I'm on board. Number 5.
Champlain?
Cal Delta.
Huh. Okay.
Number 6.
Champlain?
Toledo Bend.
Jeez.
Number 7.
I'm not liking this because I think Champlain's top 5.
Number 7.
Champlain.
Sam Rayburn.
It better be in the top 10.
Number 8.
Champlain.
Falcon. That's a good one to. I mean, you think of the decade it's gone down 10. And come back, and it's just because it hasn't been turned.
Okay, number 9. Champlain.
No. This lake is always in the top 10, and no one has ever fished it, except maybe Brandon Polinick.
I don't know.
Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, in Idaho?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. 10's got to be Champlain.
10 is Okeechobee.
Wow. Where is Champlain at?
I don't know. It just had the top 10. I guess, are we in this? Here.
Nah.
Here's the best Northeast bass lakes in the country.
Champlain.
Well, no.
You said Northeast.
I don't know if these are ranked or not.
Oh.
I don't know. Anyway,
is Champlain on there?
10. I would assume. What did you getting paid by the Visitors Bureau now?
I love that lake, man.
Grid Traverse, Smith Mountain, Lake.
I'm not believing this.
Winnipesaukee, I gotta be careful here. Winnipesaukee, Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I did not know that lake existed.
Winnipesaukee?
Yeah.
Huh.
Presque Isle Bay.
No Champlain.
China Lake in Maine.
No Champlain. Unbelievable.
Burt Mullet Lakes in Michigan.
We're done with this. We're moving on.
Hold
no
on.
Champlain.
Upper Chesapeake. Bay de Noc. Saginaw Bay. Oh. Cayuga. No Champlain.
How can you leave Champlain off?
Best northeastern bass lakes of the decade.
Are you kidding me?
Best northeastern bass lakes. Bassmasters list 7 lakes from the Northeast made it to the top overall 25. Wait.
They're saying Champlain is 11th.
Lake Erie, Lake St. Clair, Lake Champlain, St. Lawrence River, Lake Oneida, Candlewood, and Lake Charlevoix. Okay, I see Champlain here. Oh, now there's a top. We're way off base here. It's just a lot of clicking, Mark. I just want a list. Just a categorical list that only gives one page view.
All right.
Bass is like, our numbers are off the chart this morning. What is going on?
And the people in New York are going to love me, though.
Well,
It's Champlain.
Bass Talk Live just gave a 250 page views in the past 20 minutes.
There we have it. All right. So a couple things real quick. Dude, did you see what happened this weekend in Oklahoma? We have a world record. Possibly.
Yes. On Keystone Lake, which is 30 minutes from the house. 140 something pound.
Yeah, I got a picture of it. Check this out. There it is.
That's a big one.
That's a freak, dude.
The only word that comes to mind there is girth.
That is a freak.
That's very girthy.
146 pounds. What was the guy's name?
I don't know, but there's been a number of them, like state records potential and all that set on Keystone.
James Luckhart.
I think the guys have figured out a way to target these things.
Oh, what the heck is inside of that fish?
Roe. I don't know if they've dropped the eggs, but it's a sought after. The
Holy
eggs are very
guacamole.
sought after, and then you can also steak them and grill them, which is your favorite way to prepare the white fleshy meat of a striper with a pellet grill. I heard they're also very delicious, but I think primarily they use them for the roe. It's almost like, I believe if you're going to keep it, it's like a deer. Like you have to tag it, you have to record it. They're very sensitive of the paddlefish runs.
Yeah. All right. So one thing caught my attention, and we will ask Jason about this. There was one thing that caught my attention during the week that had to do with Jason Reyes. Any idea what that is? And it happened during weigh-in. And I can't remember what day it was. I didn't see the
weigh-in, so I watched.
Have you seen any photos of Jason? It was one particular hat that he was wearing.
No, I watched him live not the whole time, but the majority of the time.
Yeah, he was wearing one hat. Very particular hat.
Which was?
It looked like a Def Leppard hat to me.
Oh, I could see him being into that. He's straight. Yeah,
so I would have asked him about that.
80s rock guy.
I know he's a Yellowstone fan.
Yeah, I've been binge watching that. So you called last night at 9 to say, hey, Striper canceled. I was enjoying a Jack and Coke 4 straight episodes of season 2 so I could get caught up. So I'm through episode 7 of season 2, and I'd already watched one before. But So I have 3 more episodes before
I'm really disappointed, and I know Jason is a big Yellowstone fan. I'm really disappointed in the first 2 episodes.
We're not allowed to talk about those. Don't.
But you may have to plug your ears. I'm really, really disappointed. I don't know if they're going for a giant buildup or what they're doing.
I heard they were kind of slow. But
Very
I still
slow.
have 3 more episodes, and I'm sure there's people on here who haven't seen it. So you have to think of a different topic.
We'll just dabble in it. We won't give anything away.
Okay.
All right. What else, man?
Not much.
Still no word on the Elite Series?
No, I've looked on everything.
Dude, they are working feverishly. They are doing everything. When I say they, I'm talking about Bass. They're doing everything they can in working with the state and working with the companies and entities that are putting these events on to try and make it happen. And as I stated last week, they definitely have a contingency plan in place.
I've seen a couple cryptic messages, I guess.
Cryptic?
I guess in this whole thing, I'm like terrified to do a VRBO because they're like really hard to get out of, like way in advance. So that's how I justify not having a place to stay until the week before the tournament for the Opens coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man, I don't want to schedule it. Might get canceled, might get stuck with the deposit. So we'll just wing it.
Well, I don't think hotels are going to be an issue.
No, VRBOs, though.
Well, typically
Rentals,
a lot of guys do
thing.
that, but I don't think getting a hotel room is going to be an issue.
No, I wasn't talking about hotels. I was talking about the rentals.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where I've seen some cryptic messages of people talking about the status of their rentals. That's all I was mentioning. No, I mean, you could call up the Motel 6 and Tom Bodette will get you a room.
Yeah. Let's see here. I was trying to think if there was anything else. I did receive an email, and we'll talk about this after we have Jason on. Some interesting numbers from the sporting world as far as viewership across the nation on some non-bass fishing events. And appreciate Matt sending that to me. And we'll talk a little bit about that after we talk to Jason. We're about ready to get to the month of July, Matt.
Yeah.
And the Elite Series is only 2 events in.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of posturing is going to be taking place over the next 3 if they get the back-to-back-to-back. But the ramifications of these next 3 events, what are your thoughts as far as could this be the make or break when it comes to somebody's season, these next 3 events?
Well, it's 3 events. I mean, you're talking a third of the season. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're spread out. It doesn't matter if they're back-to-back-to-back. It's such a high percentage of the season. The only reason it is significant with this is because when you get on a hot streak, lakes that are similar, bam, 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 now you're in the home stretch looking really good. But, yeah, I mean, you can go from top 5 angler of the year to bottom 5 angler of the year probably with 3 disaster tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is set. You're actually going to see things take place. And I've done the statistics before about, the percentage of guys inside the Classic cut after 1 event, after 2 events, after 3 events. And every tournament, you have, the guys who are up there have a higher percentage to make it. So when you have 30% of your season taking place in 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's big time.
I wonder if like Yusuke and them is he going to be able to make it back for this swing?
I don't know. I'm looking into it. That was one of the things that I'm trying to find out. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Jason Reyes here on a Monday. Everybody stay tuned.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage.
Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency.
Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
Hey everybody, Todd Faircloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
All right, we are back on a Monday, kicking off the week. And we are ready for our special guest, hopefully. I say hopefully all the time. It's worked so far.
We're good. I mean, it was a little bit of a debacle getting him queued up, but we got him dialed in right before we went live.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat embarrassed, Mark.
About what?
He's like way better than we've been giving him credit for. You want to talk
No, that's
about...
you. That's you. I've always said he's been a stick.
No, I didn't say that, but I mean, just as far as he does not suck is the best way to put it. like we have it seat of, like compete for an angler of the year or compete for a Forest Wood Cup.
Yeah.
But like he's always in the mix.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like he just doesn't suck. On a regular basis, he doesn't suck, which is really hard to do. That's a big time compliment.
His FLW earnings, I think, is like $500,000.
Yeah, he just passed $500,000.
Yeah.
He's had a top 10 5 out of the last 6 years. And there's only 6-7 tournaments a year.
Yeah.
He finished 51st one year, so I'm going to smudge the stats to say top 50 there. He's been in the top 50 or 51 6 straight years in a row in the FLW Tour standings.
Okay.
He's made 3 Forest Wood Cups, 15, 17, and 19 in the past 6 years. He's actually made more than that. And over the past 6 years, he's averaged roughly $45,000 a year in tournament earnings. A lot of $10,000 checks in there.
Yeah.
That's really solid.
It is.
I mean, he's always right there. I mean, he's probably pretty stressful for him. He's always right on the bubble of making the cup. Like consistently every year going into the last tournament, Reyes, 43rd, 47th, 38th, 51st, and 23rd. Since 2015, the man has had at least 1, 2, 3. He's had 6 tournaments where he's like, if I catch him, I'm in the cup here.
Yeah.
that's a lot of pressure. Most guys have like one or two of those. You remember covering the guys who are like, man, I got to catch him this week and I'm in the Classic.
All the time.
In the Cup, and it's like the most stressed out individuals at the tournament.
All the time. All right, let's see if this works. Hopefully. Let's see here. Jason, you there, man?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. All we see is your head, man.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the Yellowstone hat on.
Yeah.
He's got the Yellowstone hat.
There we go.
Is that better? Okay.
That's much better. Dude, what a great hat to wear.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. I am a fan of the show. I heard y'all talking about it, and it's kind of slow, like the fishing was this past week for me at times. Big lulls, and I'm also really happy, like most importantly, happy that I do not suck.
Okay. So I said that as a compliment because if you fish,
I caught that part barely, but yeah, I got the suck part down.
If you fish, you know how hard it is. And I hadn't dived into your stats, and I'm looking at the stats before the show. Once Jeffrey said he was having you on, and I'm like, dude, this guy is incredibly consistent and has been for a long time. And I don't think you get enough credit for that consistency. It's very impressive to have. I mean, you're always. It's like that one or two fish, and you seem to come through with those one or two fish, and you're covering your expenses and making money every year too. So, I mean, it's like a win-win.
Yeah, and I've been in that parking lot at the last tournament, like you were talking about, like trying to add up points in my head and, determining if I'm going to make the championship. So I know exactly what you're talking about the pressure, but I don't know why I put myself in those positions, because it doesn't have to be that way, but for some reason, it just ends up like that, and I'm always that guy. But one year I was one man out, and next year I was like one man in, and I'm like, how do you keep doing this to yourself? It's not that hard. Try not to suck, pretty much.
All right. Well, I'm glad you made him not suck there, Matthew. Good job.
I could have got about that. Well, I could have worded that easier.
You said it like one time. I say it like every tournament. Like, don't suck, dude. Just don't suck.
All right. Back to Yellowstone just for a minute. And I don't want to give anything away because Matt's trying to catch up with it. But how pissed off were you with the first two episodes?
Like very, very disappointed at the speed of we must be building something big, like Matt said, because it is definitely slow to the punchline here. I don't know. It sounds like you watch it a lot. Yeah. I just don't see where it's going yet. But I've watched it for 2 seasons, and I'll give them the credit that it's coming. I just don't know how they're going to bring it all together.
I know it's really, really slow, Matthew. So don't be influenced by what's happening in the first 2 episodes.
Like I said, I'm in the final 3 episodes of season 2.
Oh, those are good.
It's like chaos every 10 minutes. So
yeah, it's really good.
Yes, that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the train wreck.
I know. All right, real quick, I want to let everybody know we're going to talk to Jason in a few minutes, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and get to your questions on the instant feedback and on YouTube. So that's kind of the plan, same strategy that we have every show. And Jim in Indiana, yes, go ahead and post your question on the instant feedback, and I will get to Jason after the commercial break. All right, Jason, let's talk about your performance at the Chick. Man, what a great week. What was it like going into it? How was your practice? And then, obviously, what are your thoughts after your third place finish?
Okay, so going into it, it was going to be neat already because I got to room with Creed again, I mean, we were old roommates from back in the Bass days. Yeah. And, I talked to him like every day, but I never get to, be at the same tournament. So roomed with Creed and Faircloth, and that was cool. But as far as the tournament, Creed and I decided to go spend a day on Watts Bar practicing. So we spent day 1 doing that. And, so that was one practice day down, and we kind of left it open because we caught some fish over there, but we didn't get on, anything strong. So in practice over at Chick, I was catching some fish actually offshore a little bit. And after drawing boat 188, I knew that was kind of like, okay, good luck on getting him on anything. So I actually did run out there and got, you know how you're like on the outskirts of town? That's what it felt like. And I managed to catch a fish the first day and off of the offshore stuff. And then I bounced around shallow, back out deep, went back shallow at like 11:30. And I just said, man, you know, you're having a hard time getting on anything. So just go do what you like to do. So I picked up a Cinco and pepper grass and just started, you know, fishing it kind of like you do Florida. And man, things just started to materialize. I caught a limit, then I caught a good one. Actually caught a good one on a frog, and then called up, and at the end of the day, had a pretty nice bag at 22 something. So that kind of set the tone for the tournament. And then I'm thinking, same thing like all guys, like, can I do it again in there? And I'd only spent like maybe 4 hours in there, so I was like, I don't really know. I just go back in there and grind again. And I did. Started off that next morning with like one close to 8 off of a clump of pepper grass. I caught a 4 and a 5 off of. So I'm like, wow, now it's for real. And then I went into like Yellowstone mode where it was like 2 hours of not a single bite. And you start to wonder like, what's going on here? Like, we can't even get a bite now. And my second fish was somewhere in the 6 3/4 range, I guess. And, at that point I'm like, good geez, I got 2 giants and made the cut and money and all that. Now let's keep going. And then, I filled a limit, called a few times, and I'm like, I got all pretty good ones. And then, I don't know, at 2 o'clock, I caught like another 6.5 pounder and threw back a, I don't know, 2 3/4. And I'm like, good Lord, I got an old bag now. I better run back a little early, and make sure that we're fishing tomorrow. So that's what I did. And then, day 3 went actually okay. I had like 17 3/4 or so, and I caught one more big one. So, Wheeler, punched me in the neck with a 10 pounder. So 3-pound lead turned to a 5-pound deficit. And, going into that last day, I'm like, okay, it could happen. I mean, I could catch another 25, 27. I've done it before in the same area. I'm not going to go fish out deep. So I'm already dialed in, and that's going to be the formula. So I went with that. We had a 2-hour fog delay. I needed a lot of time in there. I wasn't getting just a whole lot of bites. And I'm not making any excuses. I just didn't catch them. I caught like 9 pounds. I mean, that's like, the smallest limit of the week. But, it went good. I'm not the guy that's going to complain, cry, any of that. I mean, it was a great week. I'll take a third all day long. I think that's like the third place finish. I've had a second. I mean, I want to win for sure, but I'm not going to throw rocks at thirds ever.
You, I guess, had the rare distinction of probably being the only guy in the field who had as much water as you wanted to fish in that area. It seemed like you talked about, and I heard you talk about it on live. You were like, dude, I got these 2. I haven't even been in this third. There's no one else around here. I mean, that had to be exciting going into Chickamauga, where, you plan on just having bumper boats.
Exactly. And I think that's what kept me in there. Not only obviously the fish I was catching in there, but I'm like, there's stretches I haven't even, touched. I haven't even made a cast in that have the same type grass and depth and everything. So I was really thinking, if I mix in a couple stretches, I might hit another scrape, or I catch, a couple big ones. And so confidence wasn't, I was there on that level. It was just a matter of, coming across that, 5 cast stretch where you get right. And, I just never did hit it again. I mean, I had those 2, but it was a pretty community area. So nobody fishing those stretches in there. I mean, it did surprise me.
I think if you ask the majority of anglers, they will either love Cincos or hate Cincos. You mentioned at the beginning that's like one of your jams. Like, that's what you reach for.
Well, when things get tough and bites are hard to come by and things like that, I'm going to reach for a shaky head, a Cinco, something that's going to get a lot of bites. And, I've had a lot of success on a Cinco and a shaky head and, just slow presentations like that. some people can't fish like I do, like crawl and pull down, go 10 yards, pull down again. Even Creek made the comment, like Faircloth was like, "You think anybody's gonna come in there on you?" And Creek's like, "Dude, it don't matter. Ain't nobody gonna fish like that anyway."
Yeah, I saw that. You outwormed Crete, which is like impossible to do. With
I mean, that dude taught me a lot a long time ago. Like, it's been a long time ago, but I mean, he can grind with the best of them. And I used to be the guy that was flying down the bank with a square bill and things like that. And I still can do it, but I don't know. I feel like I can also throw 8 casts to a bare spot as well. So,
all right, one more.
Wait,
question
hang on a second.
technique.
Can you tilt your camera down a little bit? You look like a talking head.
Oh, gotcha. How about that?
Okay, one more
That's
question on the technique.
There
Jason.
we go.
So I noticed, in the articles and stuff, you were legitimately dead sticking the Senko. It was sitting there and you were talking about the fish swimming off with it. What I want to know, I think a lot of people think they're dead sticking to me is like, oh, it hits the bottom and then 2 seconds later it moves off. I'm like, I was dead sticking the heck out of that thing. But in your mind, what is a fish doing when the bait is dead sticking? Like, that's what I can't wrap my head around to get confidence in that technique with the stick bait. Are they watching it fall? Are they swimming up to it? Is it like catfishing? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it might be like catfishing actually, but because it feels like that. I want to call the way I was fishing not dead sticking. That's like marinating. Okay, like you're marinating. You're not even dead sticking anymore. It's on another level of slow. But you're like salt's coming out of your Senko, so slow. But I think what the fish are doing, I mean, I'm literally like I'm moving it, but just ever so slightly to try to get it to touch like just a stalk of pepper grass, or it could be hydrilla or gator grass or whatever. But I think just by leaving it there, it's almost like the same thing as fish on a bed. I mean, they see that bait and eventually they're just gonna eat it. I mean, I don't know what it is about a Senko, but I mean, they don't sell them like they do for any other reason. They catch bass, so it's something I'm gonna always have tied on, or at least ready to rig.
So do you think those fish are set up, nose down, watching that bait, and you give it a little quiver, or it taps a stalk, and that's what triggers them to bite? Or do you think they're meandering through the area and notice something on the bottom? Is it something that they initially see, and then the time that it's in there causes the bite, or is it the bait's in an area where the fish are passing through?
So maybe like a combo of both. You kind of got it nailed there. The fish, I believe, were on a brim bite pretty good, and there were that's why I think the certain stretches were key. So leaving it there, they were moving in and out, feeding on brim, but also by touching the grass, I noticed that would trigger a bite occasionally as well. So it's they weren't biting it like normal, like you throw it in there, it falls to the bottom. As soon as it gets there, before it gets there, one picks it up. It wasn't that fast. I mean, you literally had to let it sit there on a slack line. And I mean, a few of them I would hook deep because I literally didn't detect a bite at all. It would just be like a load. It would load up. So, which actually probably helped, because I don't think I lost a fish that helped me all week, or that would have helped me all week. So, fished real clean too. So that was key. Anytime you're fishing a single 5/0 hook, I mean, you expect to, get them to the boat.
What pound test line?
I was doing 15 Seaguar Tatsu. So maybe a little light, but it was cutting right through that pepper grass and winching them out of there, no problem. Never broke anything, never, had any issues there. So that was good.
All right. I know we're going to get to the questions when we take our second break, but there are a ton of questions on the instant feedback about the situation that you had to deal with the dead fish. Is there anything that you would like to say about that?
Yeah, I'll give you the rundown of how that actually went down. It was late in the day on day 2, and I catch like a 6-pounder, 5-pounder, whatever it is, and I go to put it in a live well, and I notice I got one dead, right? So instead of just making a call and assuming or anything. Now we're fishing a new tour with, new anglers and no, there wasn't a real meeting. There was like a Zoom meeting. So I'm like, man, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So pick up the phone and I called the tournament director, and, probably should have just been cut off alive at that moment, but I wasn't. But I asked him if we could call a dead fish legally in the tournament before I did so, or put 6 on a live well or whatever, and made another cast, and then called. I know the rule there. So he told me as long as I release the fish in a discreet manner. So I guess once again, you don't want to be showing people, throwing back a fish on the bank or, anything like that. So, I did the right thing and slid the fish over the side of the boat. And, people also got to look at it like all these guys that fish these tournaments, they're great. They can catch like 5 almost every day. Hardly any of these guys are plugging 5 a day and putting them on a plate. So if we happen to hook one deep and one becomes deceased, I mean, it's such the tiny fraction that, anybody on the conservation side knows that we are not trying to, have a fish die. That's penalties. I mean, I had to sit in a room with Crete after day 2 and watch him miss a check by 1 ounce or 3 ounces, and he had a 4-ounce dead fish penalty. And think about it, that's like a $10,000, problem is what I look at it. So it's definitely not something that we're trying to kill a fish. I mean, it just happens sometimes, and I thought I did the right thing by calling the tournament director and not taking a chance on making a wrong decision there and having my bag disqualified or a penalty of any kind. So that's the sum of that.
All right, I want to know, from a frustration standpoint, from a disappointment standpoint, which one was more severe? Not being able to win the chick event or finishing 51st at Sam Rayburn?
51st at Sam Rayburn was disappointing because, the year before the lake was like 10 foot high and I think I finished like 60 something. I can live with that. That was a new lake to me. But this past year, I mean, man, you get an opportunity to fish Rayburn in the winter like that, January, rattle trapping and, cranking and stuff like that. That was disappointing for sure. I mean, I don't know, definitely it's a little bit hard to compare, but those are valuable points that are going to come down at the end. That, I mean, I'm thinking, man, you should make a top 30 cut there. I mean, I know the lake well, so I don't fish it as much as I used to back, a long time ago, but still, I mean, it's Rayburn. So you're always, that'd be like Wheeler coming, which no, it wouldn't be because he fishes way more than I do. But anyway, I should do better than that at Rayburn.
A lot of discussion about the 56 BPT guys fishing the Super Tournaments. I think 204 boats in this deal on Chickamauga. You were right there in the thick of things, room with some BPT guys, know a bunch of guys on the FLW side. How did that go down as a whole, just in the tournament with the new anglers midway through a season?
Well, I mean, I know those guys wondering, oh, how are we going to stack up against those guys or whatever. But I mean, you got to look at the big scheme of things 5-6 years ago till now. A lot of the guys that are on the BPT came from the FLW. I'm sure y'all talked about that on your show. But, as far as that goes, I thought it was great. I mean, look at the payout. I mean, we're in some pandemic right now and not wondering if we're even going to have a bass tournament, and we're throwing out payouts like that. So I thought it was great. I mean, I was down for them to fish, our tournaments or whatever. It didn't bother me. I fished against those guys for a long time. So plus they just bring exposure. So it's a win-win. I didn't see it as anything bad. And I mean, it's not like they're gathering up our points or anything. So I was good with it.
Was John Cox upset that you beat him shallow?
Well, he's beat me shallow so many times that I don't even know if it registered I don't even know if there's a tally there. But that guy, I mean, I didn't really know, like, over the years how he gets it done on Chickamauga. Like I would be like, well, John Cox won. He pulls something out of his butt every time, but maybe he throws it a tree on the way into weigh-in, but he's got a system down that works, and he sticks to it. He's the guy that you'll see put in at the boat ramp at like 9:30 in the morning some days. He's not sometimes he'll be out there till dark, but I think he's got a system that just works for the way he fishes, and it's obviously proven. Anytime they're shallow or can be caught shallow, he's going to be in the mix. I look back also, and I talked to Alex Davis yesterday. We were talking for just a bit, and I was like, we both said I was like, man, every time I make a cut, you make the cut. He's like, I noticed that. He's like, every time I make a cut, Cox makes the cut. So, and then we both determined, well, Cox makes most every cut, so it doesn't really, that doesn't really factor in.
Huh. Similar guys fishing the same stuff, getting on the same type of patterns. It's interesting how that works out.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back with questions from the fans here on a Monday, Jason. So hold tight. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Right here on BTL.
All
Everybody
right,
stay tuned.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a grate for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact a little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back, kicking off the week here on BTL with our special guest, Jason Reyes. And before we get to the questions, dude, what was up with the Def Leppard cap?
Oh man, so the Def Leppard cap, that was I put that in my boat, and I was like, if I ever bust a big sack, I'm gonna throw on the Def Leppard hat.
A big fan?
Yeah, fan of Def Leppard, sure, man. Like, everybody knows I'm some Def Leppard. So yeah, threw on the Def Leppard hat and then just rolled with it. You got to go, just go with it. But yeah, I thought it was a change. Why not?
Oh, one more thing before we get to it. I was listening to FLW Live, and Travis Moran mentioned that when he talked to you, one of the commentators mentioned that you never wanted to be a full-time professional bass fisherman, that you always wanted to be established in something else and then bass fish in addition to that.
Yeah, that's correct. So I was probably 25, I guess, and I was fishing Bass Opens, and I was doing pretty good back then, in 03, 04. I qualified for I think at the time it was before it was called Elites. It was the Bass Top 150s. And I qualified for those in 05, and I fished it in 05 and 06. And, the money at that time, it wasn't I'm going to quit my job and go do this. So, running a business, I started my business at 25. So, my dad and I were selling to grocery store chains, and everything was growing every year. So I decided, let's do this and that and try to make it work. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. I haven't steered away from that. Don't get me wrong. There's times when guys are going pre-fishing and, staying over an extra week to just go fun fish between tournaments that I don't get to partake in, but I wouldn't change it. I have a good business going, and actually Sprague, works with me, and he runs some stores in Dallas, and he does the same thing. We just stay busy. So, fishing full time, man, I don't know. I respect every guy that's out there doing it. It's tough. It's not easy. They put in a lot of time and effort, but I chose just this route. So that was what I chose to do.
Well, it obviously works because the guy leading the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit Angler of the Year right now, Ron Nelson, we had him on last year, and he literally just fishes the 3 practice days in the tournament and then puts his boat up until the next tour event. So.
and Ron and myself obviously are the same because, mine's parked behind me now, and there's a good chance that, I tinker with it between now and Wisconsin, and I'm on the road for that, and I'm not going to, I have an aluminum boat that if I want to go out, run out to the lake here, I'll take that. But that's just what works for me. Everybody's different. I have a lot of respect for the young guys, and I make comments, to a lot of people that, man, those guys are hungry and they work hard, and nothing against those guys. They're out there every day or every other day putting in time on their electronics and on the water, and making the curve just easier. But the young competition is getting stronger and stronger. So a guy like me, some days I feel my age, some days I feel like I'm 25 again. So especially last week, I'm feeling young again. Wheeler's laying on his back. He's like, "Oh, dude, I'm tired. I'm 30." And I'm like, "Oh my God, dude." Switch places with you in a heartbeat on the age. But, those guys work hard. And I don't know that everybody understands what all it takes to be a pro bass fisherman, full-time, sponsor-wise commitments, on the water practice, and, fishing the tournaments themselves. It's a lot. And I got respect for guys that do it.
All right, I want to go to the instant feedback. Blake in Georgia wants to know, does Jason think that the Cinco deal was specifically linked to brim beds, or were some of those fish resident fish?
I believe it was both. They have to be on some kind of pattern in there because they live in there. Every year I'm pretty sure that Wheeler caught 2 of his giants inside where I was fishing inside Dallas Bay. And, so big ones live in there all year round. It's got deep water, shallow water. It's a community area, no different than Harrison Bay or any of the others. So I think it was a combo. I'm sure they still have some tournaments out of that area. So it's a full combo of a scenario that just kind of worked out for me. But I think, the answer to the question is both.
All right, here we go. Let's see here. Matt wants to know, how did you fish that worm so slow, Cinco?
Man, I think because, when I first started throwing it, I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a chance, because I hadn't even thrown the Cinco in practice. I had thrown a wacky worm, and I had one of those deals where you're like, okay, rig something up just like a wacky worm that has the same presentation, but something to give them different in case you have to go through a stretch of water twice. And I just happened to pick it up. And when I did, I caught one like within 5 casts or less. And then I just started, and I made like a slow presentation on that one. So when you catch multiple fish out of a small area, I think that's what just made me decide to really fish it that slow. I'm sure it was like watching paint dry. It couldn't have been very exciting to watch, until something actually, was on the line. But it was painful for me as well. Like, because you're not covering any water. You're just like, man, if it doesn't happen here and I'm spending 2 hours down the stretch, you're kind of all in at that point. Your confidence has to be at a high level to make that many casts into one small area.
Let me ask this real quick. What percentage of the fish in those stretches do you feel like you caught? Because obviously you knew they were there. You just talked about how confident you were that there were fish in there. Do you think you caught them all?
That's something that rolled through my mind. Like, man, how much damage have I done to the fish? And on the second day, or even the first day, I was culling up every time I caught one. So, I kept fishing in there. It wasn't like felt like I was burning through 2.5 pounders and I was, killing myself for the next day. But honestly, I'm sure I didn't catch them all. There's still more to be had. But the water dropped on the final 2 days to a degree, so that pepper grass wasn't as scattered. It was kind of starting to mat up real bad. So it didn't give you those openings like it did the first 2 days to throw it in. So you're literally like, one cast to the edge of it or a hole. It started to like shrink up as far as where I was catching in them, as far as out of the sparse cover. And it was mostly tight. And sure, you saw Cox throwing his frog in the mats, and that's what it started turning into. And, I'd pick up a frog and a buzzbait at times, trying just to make something happen. But, I don't think I caught them all by any means, but I did do some damage on those 2 stretches for sure.
All right, here, our friend John Bird, winner of the Apex Games, has a question. By saying to himself, "Don't suck today," does that give him extra anxiety and cause him to spin out?
Kind of like the don't think about pink elephants, and then you're thinking about pink elephants.
Yeah.
Right. So, maybe so. I think that all depends on a guy's mental approach. One of my camera guys was telling me, like, Thrift tells himself every day that, dude, you're not going to catch one. You're going to suck, basically. So he uses that as like extra motivation. Not that he needs any, but I think every guy has to find whatever works for them as far as, psyche or whatever. But to me, it's all momentum. You get a little momentum going and everything starts going your way. When everything goes slack is when all the doubts start to drift in your head. And then that's when the spin happens. And at that point, some guys can control it, some guys can't. And I've been on both ends of it. So you have to use whatever works for you. If you got to stop and put everything down and re-rig 3 rods, or, make a run 10 miles down the lake to get refocused. I've had to do all those kind of things before.
Just stop and go for a drive.
Yeah, man. There was one time I actually was on Chickamauga. I ran like 10 deals one morning, and I didn't have a fish. It was like 10:30. I just stopped in the middle of the lake. I'm like, all right, man, do something, but do something. Don't just keep running around like a freak and trying to make too much happen at once. So I ran into like Soddy Daisy Creek and put my trolling motor down and went down a bank and caught a limit, and everything was good after that. But sometimes you have to, have a come to Jesus moment with yourself and say, look, man, it's happening. And you got to recognize when that spin's happening. That's the key to me is, like it's telling you, man, you're trying to do too much too quick, or, you're fishing too fast or whatever. You have to recognize it.
I had this talk with Dave Rush, who also works with us, yesterday, and I was talking with him, and he had talked about how he had a good bag in this tournament, and then he started checking stuff at like 11 or 12, and I was like, man, I cannot remember a time that it was, a tough bite, you had 3 or 4, and then you start running at 11 or 12, and you're like, I got 4 hours to catch 2. I'm like, yeah. I look back at those results, it's shocking how many times I don't catch 2 when I start running at 11 or 12 without a reason for running.
We always throw that like I know exactly what you're talking about, because I do it too. I'll look down at my screen and I'll be like, ooh, 12 o'clock. I got, 2.5 hours to fish, and then right then you put yourself in a box to a degree. You're like, okay, now it's me versus the 2.5 hours, not me versus the fish anymore. It's like I put myself on a time limit, and then there's days, Matt, where you'll catch 1 or 2 in the next 30 minutes. And the whole time game that you were playing is over. Like you got what you needed. So you can use that to your advantage if that works for you. But for me, I'm better off truly not knowing what time it is. I don't need the extra tournament within the tournament, if you know what I mean. I'd rather not know. 100%. Man, I'm down to my last 47 minutes and I need a keeper.
Yeah, because that Cinco doesn't rest on the bottom. You're not feeling every piece of grass. You're just going, why didn't I get bit on that cast? Now I have 45 minutes. Why didn't I get bit on that cast?
Yeah, there
now
you
I got
go.
44
and
minutes.
Before you know it.
Wow.
Exactly. And then, yeah, it doesn't, that's one of those things that to me it can turn into a negative real fast when you put yourself on a time limit. Now, we all know what it's like, man. Like, come on, dude, you got 15 minutes to produce a keeper. Get it done. and it happens, Then, you have to have another gear, though, as well.
All right. Bass came out with their, top 50 list? Is that what it was, Matt?
A bunch of top lists for the decade and year and all that stuff.
Of lakes across the country. All I want to know, what's your top 3? Your top 3 lakes across the country over the last decade.
For me, personally, or quality fish?
For just
me,
you.
Personally, for sure, Smith Lake. Okay, I've done well there. I like that lake. It's, I love that one. Love St. Clair.
Which was
haven't
on the
always
list.
had maybe the greatest finishes there, but love it. Probably Gunnersville.
Which made the
maybe
list.
Maybe Rayburn, even though, I'm trying to think outside of the box a little bit. Rayburn or Gunnersville. Those would be the 3. I'm not a big Florida fan. I mean, you would think, oh, dude just caught like a big sacks of bass on a Seco. Why wouldn't he like Florida? I don't know, man. It's got my number. I've had some good finishes there, but Florida whips me.
Dude, when you're throwing a Cinco to Florida, you have to tuck your shirt in and wear a gold chain. You will be amazed at your catch ratio will skyrocket.
Man,
okay, well, by saying that, like I wore a Def Leppard hat, so like it's possible that I break that chain out. That Miami
thin.
Is it like? Do you like
the thin gold chain? The thin gold chain.
Oh, okay.
Bobby
like
Lane, Terry Scroggins. You could do a thin gold bracelet too.
Yeah,
like that. But
what about the herringbone style? Is that good? Like the one that's like the flat one? Would that work?
100%.
I might have one of those.
All I'm saying is look up BFL pictures, look up Costa pictures, look up Elite Series, anybody who's smashing them in Florida throwing soft
gold
plastics.
Chain.
gold chain, thin, subtle, not
Dude,
not
that-
the turnover chain for the Miami Hurricanes, just
right,
a nice subtle
okay,
accent.
Okay. I was like, man, I don't know that I could go
No.
that far, but yeah, the definitely I can rock the gold chain. My son wears one from when I was in like the 8th grade right now, so I might have to bum it back from him if we go to Florida next year.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't need to remind you. You finished 125th at the Harris chain there, Jason.
Yeah, dude.
So-
It's brutal. That's the cause of my rebound right now. But yeah, back in the points though now.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. What's your outlook for the remainder of the season?
Okay, so speaking of the points and everything, I mean, obviously, we want to make that the championship. I guess we're going to fish MLF style, so I would like to do that. I think that would be cool. I've never fished that format, so that would be something to qualify for. Have 2 strong tournaments and qualify for the championship. Also, I mean, look at the world we're living in today. I mean, it's next tournament for everybody's kind of day to day right now. So actually being inside the championship at this point is probably a good thing. Who knows what could happen in the next few days. I live down here in Houston and Harris County, and we're like world news right now. Like there's probably like COVID right outside my garage, but I just got to be careful. But that's the goal, is to make the championship, and hopefully I've never fished the St. Lawrence River, so if we were happen to go there, I think that would be fun. So,
all right, man. Well, very, very cool stuff and outstanding performance at Chick, and you got yourself right back in there in the thick of things. So hopefully things will continue to develop in a positive way from the COVID-19 situation, and we can continue covering what you guys do on the water, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. We hope that as well. Like I don't want to miss any tournaments. I'm ready to go. If they said leave tomorrow, we're going to a different lake, I'm in. So good talking to you guys. Matt, you fishing anything soon?
Nah, just spent 9 days to catch 6 fish on the Arkansas River, so I'm taking like 4 days off, and then I'll probably go crappie fishing this week, and then get back into it.
I think he's back now.
And thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, man. Great job, and best of luck to you. We'll talk to you soon, man.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right. See you. All right, there you have it. Jason Reyes. Good dude. His internet was a little sketchy there.
Oh, we got through it. It was all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Did you see the comment? I didn't post it here.
No.
Right there. Does anybody realize how much he sounds like Jeff Crete?
Well, they're buddies.
I know.
They all hang out.
They've known each other and hung out for
2 decades, over 20 years.
Yeah. So, anyway, man.
That's cool. It kind of sounds like, from talking with him and how it meant that he had a little bit of stuff, but he really wasn't dialed in on anything. So he kind of started thinking outside the box. And as it went on, he went, oh, wow, this is good. And it was something that everyone else overlooked.
Can you fish that slow?
No.
I can.
No, I've had multiple people say that it's very hard to fish behind me just strictly because of the speed. But that's intentional because I've covered it. I've been on the practice days with all, the top pros. I've covered it. I've seen how it moves. And there's the guys who it works for when they can slow down and do that. But statistically, the vast majority of the guys would rather put more baits in a bigger area looking for active feeding fish than slow down in one area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have the guys, okay, if there's 8 fish on this stretch, I'm going to put it in front of 6 of them. That's, like he did. Like Jeff Crete tends to do. The guys who fish slow, the methodical, like a Tommy Biffle or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But the majority of the guys are, okay, there's 8 fish on this stretch. I'm going to put it in the high percentage area, so I might only put it in front of 1 or 2 of them, but I'm also going to put it, that bait, I make 8 casts on 6 other stretches in the same amount of time looking for active feeding fish. So you're covering more water looking for that as opposed to the slow crawl. It's a It's a philosophical difference.
Yeah.
It's like Democrats and Republicans. That's what it is. It's like Ford and Chevy.
Yeah.
Because both sides, you could say, okay, here's valid reasons why I'm doing it this way, and here's valid reasons why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah, but you like soaking a worm in a brush pile or a ledge or something like that in the summertime. But that's not the same, though, is what you're saying.
Yeah, not the same. I'm mainly talking about covering water down the bank, not an offshore target specific stuff.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. A lot of people think that you can't power fish a Carolina rig. You can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you can cover a lot of water.
You know what a power fish Carolina rig is called?
What's that?
A biffle bug.
Well,
I mean, it really is.
It is.
That's all it is.
Well, that's a little different.
The biffle bug is the power fishing of a football head and Carolina rig mix. They did that in Oklahoma. I remember I fished a Bass Nation way back in the day. It might have been Hallman. One of the guys were like, how'd everyone catch them? Scrubbing a football head.
Yeah. It's a little different.
What the heck is that? Well, they're taking 3/4 ounce football head, chucking it up on the pea gravel, and reeling it back like a crankbait. That was way before the biffle bug came out. That was one of the ways that they got the common practice among top end guys at Grain was scrubbing a football jig on shallow points.
No, you're right. All right, tomorrow, Jacob Wheeler, dude. What else are we going to ask this guy? He's been on the show a zillion times.
Well, I want to ask him if
he continues to win. What are you looking at?
Well, I want to know if did he ever go into the was kind of covert with the boat there. Like, does he have a back just a Chickamauga
That
boat?
was one of the things I had on the list.
Yeah.
Let's
get into what he thinks a penalty should be for the 6 fish.
Yeah.
It didn't matter for him. He said he wanted to win this one more than he put more practice. He wanted to win this one more than anything else. Well,
I could see that.
Okay.
Because he lives there.
Yeah, talk to him about that.
Yeah. The other thing is with him being really the top guy in the game right now, would you agree with that? I mean, he is the top guy.
Right now, yes.
Right now, at this moment.
Yes.
Is the phone ringing? In other words, are there other companies out there? Because his sponsorship lineup right now, pretty stout.
Robust.
Very, very stout.
The sponsorship lineup looks like that paddlefish that came out of Keystone.
146 pounds of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I want to get into hopefully a little bit of the business side because he likes talking about that. Has the phone started to ring? Are there companies out there that want to be part of the Jacob Wheeler brand? I mean, his jersey's pretty full already, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Will he know when Academy will be fully stocked?
I doubt it, but he might. Have you been in one lately?
No, I remember you were talking.
I did. I went through another one this weekend. It's still bare to the bone, dude.
As soon as something goes in, it goes out. And
it's
supply chain.
Unbelievable. And typically when I've went in there, they've had stuff stacked on the shelves.
And it's not just them.
Above.
It's a the mom and pops that got it. But I went in Bass Pro and it was to get ready for the open.
Was it empty?
I had to call. I needed like some hooks. I mean, I needed basic stuff. I didn't need anything. And I was like, man, they just didn't have it. So I had to call my buddy to bring it down.
I forgot. I'm glad. Who was that? John reminded me. All right, I have this bit of info here that we'll go over here real quick that gives some viewership levels, and I appreciate Matt for sending this to me from a very cool website. It's called sportanddots.com. It covers daily news of TV sales. Have you ever been to that site, Matthew?
Can't say that I have.
So I actually checked it out.
How does that site make money?
I don't know. Sales, I guess.
So they.
I don't know.
Wait, I'm very confused. What does the site do?
Daily news of TV sales.
Daily news of TV. So it.
Yeah, look it up real quick.
It reports on what advertisers are spending.
It's spots and dots.
Yeah. What advertisers are spending on what channel?
Look it up.
Okay.
Look it up. Anyway.
How do you spell it?
Spots. SPOTSN. Just the letter N. Dots.
I feel like that should be some sort of that's like Dippin' Dots.
You like the Dippin' Dots? Are you a fan?
News of TV sales.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the Dippin' Dots?
I am.
Yeah, they're
until they melt and then they become like a mass. I like the first 3. I like the bites in between when they stick to your tongue and it melts. There's like a sweet spot there for the Dippin' Dots.
All right, here we go. Some of the sporting events that have been on in the comeback. It was interesting that the viewing levels are actually a little bit lower than what they have been in the past. The highest rated sporting event from June 15th to June 21st was, any guess?
The highest rated sporting event.
Yeah.
From June 15th.
You won't know this. Well, you might.
Not a UFC fight, was it?
No.
In a car race?
It has to do with something that you're kind of around in a roundabout way.
No clue.
The Belmont Stakes.
Oh, okay.
All right. Horse racing. 3.3 million viewers in the Nielsen. All right, the race, which was pushed back several weeks due to COVID-19, was down 33% versus a year ago.
Wow.
At 3.3 million. Let's see here. The WWE Friday Night SmackDown came in at 2.07 million, followed by the Geico 500 race, which was at a 2.06 million. And PGA Golf at 2.04 million. 2.5 million viewers on a Sunday for the NASCAR Sahoma race. And then the Travelers took in.
Is bass fishing on there at all?
No, 2.2 million. All right. Which I found that kind of interesting that none of that was included from all the coverage that was on ESPN2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Which is the point that I wanted to make. And then as far as baseball, I mean, baseball trying to get their act together, but who knows on that. 60-game season, no baseball on. But a year ago, baseball averaged 2.9 million viewers. I think baseball isn't going to come close to that next year. I think baseball is probably in the worst position of any of the sports. And what they're trying to do, let me ask you this, Matt. After reading off those numbers, does sports truly matter now compared to the way that they mattered a year ago? From a viewership standpoint, from a fan standpoint?
I think it's just on a person-by-person basis and how much you
Well, I'm talking about you. I mean, could you care less? Is professional sports, are we missing something by not having professional sports?
I mean, I really enjoy watching the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
But I mean, do I feel like my quality of life is less because of that? No, but I'm also not a season ticket holder who bases May and June around my team that I get to go watch. So it's a different experience for different people. So just because it doesn't affect me, just because I could care less that that some sport isn't going on or that they canceled the season, like, yeah, I would have watched the NCAA and all that stuff. But, you know, some people have their entire year based around that and getting together with buddies and betting and going to it and all that. So it's individual for everyone.
I think the biggest thing is going to be college football. What are they going to do with college football?
Yes, because that will. Yeah. But that's for us now. There's other guys that it doesn't matter to them.
I know, but the economic impact that is going to take place for so many of the communities across the U.S. if they can't figure out a way, and I don't know what that is, and I think the challenge is enormous. I mean, Norman may have to shut down, dude.
Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, because of the tax revenue that's generated on game days. 5-6 days a year.
And nothing's been. I mean, hey, we could be good to go by then.
So we'll see. What we do know is that hopefully we will have the Elite Series. We will have the remainder of the FLW super events, and we will continue going on down the road. Tomorrow, we will see. We will ask Jacob those questions, and then I'm really looking forward to having Ken Duke on the show Wednesday to kind of break down what's going on ICAST.
Speaking of which, Bassmaster just came out literally during the show with top 90 new toys for 2020 with virtual ICAST. You want to guess what slide 32 out of 97 is?
What is it?
It's the BFE.
Is it really?
Yeah. The best flipper ever was designed by Bassmaster Open Angler Bradley Hallman to be the best flipping bait for any condition anywhere in the country. It has the profile of a tube-style bait, but a solid body with rings. The rings give the bait a larger appearance without bulk. to impact hooking ratio. It can be used around grass, wood, rocks, or docks with a wide gap or a straight shank worm hook. BigBiteBaits.com. Manufacturer's suggested retail price, $3.99 a pack. It's literally right there. I'm looking at it.
That's very cool. All right. And when is the availability date?
Supposedly July 1st.
July 1.
I was wondering if it was going to be in there. That's what I've been going over here. I saw it. I was clicking through it right before. I said, there it is.
All right. Is there any way you might be able to check and verify and let people know on the show tomorrow when they can get it, where they can get it on July 1st? So we will give you an update tomorrow on where all the BTL fans and some of the BTL fans, how many was it? 10?
Yeah. Those packs should already, I confirmed it. And 3 packs.
All right, a couple more things, and then we will get out of here. As you see the information that's scrolling along the bottom, I'm still looking for people. If you have a boat, a truck, a motor, a graph, a tackle collection, rods, reels, anything with value over $1,000, send me an email. We're going to hook you up with the BTL market that we're going to launch here very, very soon. Very, very excited about this effort to help out the BTL fans and do something that's very unique and an opportunity to sell and market whatever the BTL fans have to sell. The other thing is, Matt, got more good news. There's going to be an Apex Games Part 2 in the near future.
I've heard about that. That sounds exciting.
Right? It's going to be different, a complete different format in association with some of the happenings over on the Elite Series this time. So we have to change it up the way we do it and all that and everything. But I did get approval that we're going to be able to do something somewhat similar. I don't know if we can give away over $5,000 worth of merchandise from Strike King and Lose, but
clicking through the kayak section.
We will see. Oh, what do you see?
You promised the viewers that you would get in a kayak this summer.
Yeah, you working on that?
And we would film it.
You working on that?
Well, I was clicking through the new kayaks.
Yeah.
They have kayaks powered by trolling motors now.
Interesting.
And propellers, so you still have not done that. Let me say this. If you are within 2 hours, an hour and a half of
2 hours,
Oklahoma City.
2 hours.
You got a kayak. It's warm weather now.
You want to help us out.
You know a snake-free environment
that doesn't exist.
We might be able to get Mark in a kayak. I would love to film a little segment of Mark kayak fishing somewhere in Oklahoma.
Send me an email.
Make that happen.
Mark@basszone.com. All right, here's something else. Where's his name at?
You got like 30 seconds for the bumper music, Mark. No pressure.
Mike, your question. I think his last name is Kushmer. Send Matt an email, matt@basszone.com, and he will get back to you and help you out with that question because he knows all about that. All right? Send him your contact info to matt@basszone.com, and he will hook you up. All right, that's it. That's going to wrap things up here on a Monday. Tomorrow, Jacob Wheeler. That's it. We're out of here.